school, get your advanced degree so you can earn a higher wage. And this is what my rich dad said to me. He said that money does not solve your problems. In fact, if you have poor cash flow management, more money will get you further in debt. And that's what happened to my highly educated poor dad. He kept thinking that more money would solve his problems, and what he had was no financial literacy, which with cash flow, the board game teaches how to invest, how to do all this. And he couldn't tell who was stealing from him. And his number one expense, and he couldn't see this, was taxes. Now I want to say something about taxes. There's a lot of people say, well, it's the American way to pay taxes. I want to give you the history. My 2A subjects were history and economics. I understand those two subjects. America was formed on a tax revolution called the Boston Tea Party. And for 200 years, America boomed because we were a tax-free state. It was only until the 16th Amendment where some ideas came in from a guy named Carl that said we should take from the rich and give to the poor that justified government taking taxes. So I want to say this much. In 1940, do you know what percent of the U.S. population paid taxes? Most people don't know. Up until that point, Americans doggedly fought taxes. It was the American thing to do, starting from the Boston Tea Party. Then in 1940, the number of people paying taxes was less than 5% of the U.S. population, and there was only the rich. And suddenly the government found this source of income. They said, well, why don't we tax more people? And the excuse was World War II. So they started saying that's the American thing. It's patriotic to pay your taxes, and they started taxing. And in 1943, they weren't collecting it fast enough, so what they instituted was a thing called the payroll deduction plan. At that point, they took it before you even saw the money. It came straight out of your payroll, and it kept going. And the problem is, not only was my dad, a government official, poor at managing money, so are most politicians poor at cash flow management. And so what has happened since 1963, 1964 with Lyndon Johnson, when he tried to fight the war on poverty and the war in Vietnam, both of which we lost, at that point the national debt, because of mismanagement. I'm not against paying taxes. I am against people stealing and mismanaging our government and the future of our country. We have mismanaged our government, so our debt is now so far out of sight. I would go get a safe, secure job and make sure the government gives you benefits and pensions. Entitlement mentality, not the Vietnamese, not the Chinese, not the Russians, will actually sink this country because we cannot pay for all the people with this entitlement mentality. And it came from this idea that we should tax the rich and give to the poor. The reality is the rich, as Diane knows, have ways of escaping paying taxes, but the poor and middle class do not. So the very people they wanted to tax escaped, and the people that should not be taxed are taxed. And I really do contend that taxes are unfair, because the people that are taxed the most are the poor. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I do. I want to clarify, too, that a Supreme Court Justice Learned Hand made the statement that we aren't required to pay any more tax than we have to. Now, that's an important thing. There's a difference between saying, I'm going to evade taxes, which we all know is illegal, and we're not advocating that.
No, definitely not.
But instead, we should set up ourselves so we don't have to pay a dime more than we have to. And that's what the Supreme Court Justice was saying. We don't have to pay more than we have to. However, if you have a job, you're a W-2 wage earner, you're stuck. There's nothing you can do.
Well, there's nothing a CPA can do for you.
Exactly. I don't have any clients that just do that because there's no creativity. There's nothing you can do. Fill in the form, send the check, that's it, you're done.
Right, you don't need a CPA. So
exactly.
The government is your CPA.
So the thing I'm talking about here is this: since you're a little child, we're programmed, to look for a job, and then buy the big house, buy the boat, buy this. And so we're programmed to become employees. In other words, we make the rich man richer. We pay more in taxes, which makes the government rich. And then by them saying that your house is an asset, you now make the people who lend money, the bankers, rich. And that's where one of the lessons in Rich Dad, Poor Dad was mind your own business. And your business is the asset column. And the only people that Diane Kennedy can work with are people who actually have investments and have businesses in the asset column. Is that correct?
Yes. In fact, you just brought a great point up. The clients I work with have many advisors, but they're just that. They get advice from different sources, but they make their own decisions. And they take the responsibility for those decisions. As a CPA, I really can't know each individual circumstances. I can give you advice. I can give you options. That's how you learn.
Ann and I were talking about what cash flow is designed to teach. I say there's three kinds of people who invest or plan for their financial future. And Group C is the person who knows they need to invest, but they're going to do nothing. And I call them ostriches. And they just stick their head in the sand. And these people will either work hard until they die, or if you have this idea, I want to do nothing about investing or savings or finance, then what you should do is get a job with the federal government. But I don't know if that's going to be safe past the year 2010 because they might go broke. Or you can win the lottery, or maybe you can marry somebody who has a huge trust fund or something like that. So that's Group C. I don't want to do nothing. And I would say it's probably 60% of the population. They want to know nothing. Nothing, tell me nothing. I don't want to hear a thing. Let the government, let the business take care of my pension. Nothing. That's Group C. Then there's Group B, and these are the people who know they need to do something, but because they've been conditioned, to look for, the words are safe. In other words, what generates the word safe in the brain is the emotion fear. So they want a safe investment. And so these are the people who look for answers. So Group B looks for answers. And there's nothing wrong or right with that. If that's who you are, be true to that. And at that point, the most important person you can talk to is an accountant and a certified financial planner. But realize there's good ones and bad ones in both categories. And a certified financial planner is absolutely a must if you're going to be a person who just wants answers. Diane and I have the same problem. People come and tell me what to do, and I say, my goodness, I can't do that. And that's what the game Cash Flow shows, that you have a janitor playing against a doctor, against a nurse, a police officer, and all this. Everybody's financial situation is different. Do you have children? Not children. How old are you? How smart are you? How much experience do you have? So what you do is predicated not upon what my advice is, but what you know and what you have on your income statement and balance sheet. So people who want answers, I can't help them. And then there's Group A, and these are people not seeking answers. What they're doing is actually seeking problems. I would say 3% of the population is looking for something that's absolutely tragically trashed and bad, and I have the skills and abilities to have to take that tragedy, that train wreck, and make it better. It's no different than somebody finding an old wrecked Model T Ford and saying, I'm going to restore this thing and make it beautiful, a valuable piece of property. It's what we're trained to do. So class or Group A are the people who seek out problems. I'm not looking for answers. I'm looking for problems. And the emotion for me is fun. I have the best time. The reason I don't want a job is because it would interfere with me going out looking for what I call train wrecks, either real estate or businesses and things like this to fix, because once I fix them up and I leave them there, I never have to touch them again. Once my apartment building is up and running, I can forget about it, go do something else. I'm looking in China right now because few people realize that the biggest real estate boom in the history of planet Earth is underway right now in China. 1 billion people are now looking for a house to live in. And that's why I'm in a real estate company. They're developing houses in China. You go to where the boom is. Where most people, China's too risky, it's dangerous. What about Tiananmen Square and all that? So it's fear that affects their thinking. And with me, it's the fun and the challenge. We got problems out there. Let's go. Let's solve this. And I think that's what you see as difference, the different types of people.
Well, absolutely. And we've got lots of other examples of that. Just when you were talking about successful people, I think of Lee Iacocca and I think of Bill Gates. There's two examples of people who found a problem, solved it, and became fabulously wealthy.
That's correct. And that's what I talked to Ann about. That is, in school we're trained to look for answers.
Not only that, but wait till someone else tells us that we have the answer, so that we develop almost a self-unconfidence in our ability to
tell me what
to
do.
Answers.
Tell me what
right.
to do.
Yeah, tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. So one of the things that I found personally very, very exciting is in the cash flow game, I have learned to play various roles. As I've been the janitor, I've been the professor, I've been the business manager, the police officer. And no matter what the role that I'm playing, I'm learning how to play the game of cash flow management. I'm still having to do my financial statement. I'm still having to figure out what those terms mean. And I am also doing that in a way that I'm changing the way that I think, changing what I'm looking for. Just as an example, in the first couple times that I played the game, and I was cashed out of the game. I had a hard time. I was first started to by paying my bills, trying to get my mortgage paid, and instead of looking for investment deals.
And that's what happens is in the game, games reflect behavior.
So games reflect your real beliefs and your core actions.
Yeah,
so if you want to change your actions, if you want to change your behaviors, then you can do it the way Robert did it, which was in his real life from the age of 9 until his current age. He's had much practice. Practice in failing, practice in succeeding. But
I've been only looking for one thing. I've been looking for things in the asset column. I've never looked for more money.
That's a good point.
And I've never looked for higher liabilities or, a bigger house. I mean, not that I don't like a bigger house and, I have my Porsches and my Mercedes and all this, but I don't work for them because my assets work for them. And this is the point I want to bring. If people want to make a change, the change starts in their head. And it's what they have to sometimes break up what they've been told to look for. If you're looking for a safe, secure job to make more money or go back to school and get a higher paying job so you can buy the bigger house or the second house or take a bigger vacation, then you've trained to be a middle class, as Diane says, a slave with a backpack on it. You're carrying the government, you're carrying the bank, and you're carrying your boss.
Well, changing the way you think is the first thing to do. Also deciding that you want to change, and that's one of the things that's absolutely in your hands and in your mind, in your heart. So when you do that, you are going against all of your programming, all your prior experience, and perhaps everything that other people have been telling you to do.
If I could specifically say how that happens is most people have goals. And so if you have a goal, I'm going to find a safe, secure job, then that's a programming in your brain. If you have a goal which makes you an employee, if you have a goal that says I'm going to look for a nice big house or a second house or new curtains or a swimming pool or a car and all this, you're programming your brain to become a consumer.